You ever look at old versions of yourself and feel almost embarrassed by how badly they wanted to be loved? Not because they were weak, not because they were foolish, but because they abandoned so much of themselves just to keep other people comfortable. That's the strange thing about self-transformation. It rarely begins with confidence. It begins with exhaustion. The exhaustion of pretending, the exhaustion of performing, the exhaustion of carrying an identity that no longer fits the person you're becoming. And here's the part nobody tells you. Real transformation does not feel inspiring at first. Psychologically, it feels more like losing your mind. You stop relating to people you once needed. You question habits you defended for years. Even your own thoughts begin sounding unfamiliar. And for a while, you exist in this strange in-between space where you're too aware to go back to your old self, but not yet comfortable inside the new one either. Psychologists call this a liminal phase, the space between identities. But emotionally, it feels like grief. Because transformation is not just gaining something new, it's mourning what no longer fits. And that's why so many people resist it for years. Human beings are psychologically wired for familiarity. Researchers studying cognitive consistency found that the brain prefers what is predictable over what is healthy. Even painful identities can feel safe simply because they are known. The old self may hurt, but at least it's familiar. Transformation asks you to release that familiarity before you know who you'll become next. And honestly, that's terrifying. Because the moment you start changing, something unexpected happens. You become lonely, not always physically, but psychologically. You begin realizing some people were connected not to your true self, but to the role you played in their life. The therapist friend, the overachiever, the endlessly available one, the emotionally strong one, who never needs anything back. And when you stop performing those roles, the dynamic changes. Some people become distant. Some subtly try to pull you back into old patterns, because your growth forces them to confront the parts of themselves they've avoided changing. That's why transformation can feel like social grief. One of the hardest truths to accept is this: not everyone is meant to meet the healed version of you. Some people were only compatible with your survival mode. And yeah, that hurts to realize. A lot of transformation actually begins in childhood, long before we ever realize it. Maybe you learned being easygoing kept the peace. Maybe achievement earned attention. Maybe being quiet protected you from criticism. Maybe taking care of everyone else gave you a sense of worth. So you adapted. The people-pleasing, the emotional armor, the perfectionism, the hyper-independence, those weren't random flaws. They were survival strategies. But survival strategies eventually become prisons when they outlive the environment they were built for. That's why adults, who seem the strongest on the outside, are often the most exhausted internally, because pretending is heavy. The problem begins when you become so identified with the mask that you forget there's a real self underneath it. That's when life starts feeling strangely hollow. You achieve things but feel disconnected from them. You're surrounded by people, yet still feel unseen. You become successful at performing while privately feeling lost. And eventually, something inside you starts resisting the performance. You crave more solitude. Your tolerance for fake connection disappears. Psychologically, this is often the beginning of identity reconstruction. Your internal world starts rewriting itself before your external life catches up. Neuroscientists studying neuroplasticity found that repeated thoughts and behaviors create deeply wired neural pathways over time. Your identity becomes a practiced mental pattern. In simple terms, the person you repeatedly rehearse becomes easier to remain. That means transformation is not one giant breakthrough moment. It's repetition. Tiny invisible decisions repeated long enough to become identity. Every time you pause before reacting. Every time you stop abandoning yourself to avoid conflict. Every time you choose honesty over performance. Every time you rest without guilt. Every time you say no even when your old self wants approval. Your brain notices. And slowly, new pathways begin forming. That's why real transformation happens quietly. Social media makes growth look dramatic. Big revelations, massive lifestyle changes, overnight confidence. But psychologically, the deepest transformations are almost invisible. You start responding differently instead of reacting automatically. You stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You become less addicted to validation. And maybe the biggest shift of all, you stop trying to become someone else. Real transformation does not feel like becoming a completely new person. It feels like remembering who you were before fear, rejection, survival, and conditioning taught you to disconnect from parts of yourself. And yes, there's grief in that. But there's also relief. Because eventually, you realize your old self was never broken. That version of you did exactly what they needed to do to survive emotionally. You don't heal by hating who you used to be. You heal by understanding them. That changes everything. Because self-transformation is not self-destruction. It's self-reconciliation. And maybe that's why real change feels so emotional. You are not killing the old version of yourself. You are finally thanking them before letting them rest. And eventually something inside you softens. The noise gets quieter. And slowly, almost invisibly, your life begins to feel lighter. That's the real psychology of self-transformation. Not becoming better than everyone else. Not becoming emotionless. Not becoming endlessly productive, but finally becoming someone who no longer betrays themselves just to feel accepted. And maybe that's why transformation feels lonely at first. But the right people, they won't ask you to shrink. They won't punish your growth. They won't make you feel guilty for evolving. They'll recognize the peace in you that used to be survival. And one day, maybe much sooner than you think, you'll look at your life and realize something incredible. You're no longer performing strength. You actually feel safe enough to rest, safe enough to speak honestly, safe enough to exist without constantly earning your place in the world. Healing is not becoming flawless. It's finally putting down the armor you wore for so long that it started feeling like skin. So if you're in that strange season right now, the lonely, confusing, uncomfortable middle where your old self is dissolving but your new self still feels uncertain, don't run backward just because it's familiar. Flowers do not bloom the same day the seed breaks open. And neither do people. Transformations that change your soul happen quietly, in tiny moments. The moment you stop begging for love that costs your self-respect. The moment you realize peace feels unfamiliar because chaos once felt like home. The moment your mind finally understands that being needed is not the same as being loved. That's where your new life begins. One day, the version of you that spent years overthinking and carrying the weight of everyone else's expectations finally sits down inside their own life and realizes, I don't have to earn rest anymore. I don't have to become someone else to deserve love. I can simply be. And after a lifetime of survival, that kind of peace feels like milk and honey for your soul.